So what we're going to look at now is adding some additional database providers to our project. Now if you've been following along, we've just been using SQLite for development, and you may have decided that you're not going to touch SQLite and you went ahead and used SQL Server anyway. But what we're going to do is add support here for SQL Server, MySQL, and we're going to continue to support SQLite in our particular project. Now I've come onto the documentation related to database providers for .NET Core. And we've got several different providers here. We've got SQL Server, we've got an in-memory database, we've got support for SQLite, which we've been using all the way through this course so far, and also support for MySQL as well. And what we're going to do is add these additional providers to our persistence project so they're available for us to use. Now we're not going to touch SQL Server for a little while, but we'll still install it anyway, and we'll also add the support for MySQL at the same time. So I'm just going to copy this into my clipboard and head over to VS Code and open up the NuGet package manager and add a package and just paste in the Microsoft Entity Framework Core SQL Server. Now as with all of these packages, and I'll just select the SQL Server, but as with all of these packages we want to select the runtime that matches what we're using. So I'm currently on 3.0. If we've gone ahead to 3.1 and it's released, then obviously take that one. So I'm just going to select this, and we want to add this to our persistence project. And what we'll do at the same time is we'll also add support for MySQL. Now this is not provided by Microsoft, this is provided by Pomelo, a third-party organization. So I'm just going to copy this reference into my clipboard and head back to VS Code, and once again open up the package manager, paste in the name of the package, and we want to take Entity Framework Core MySQL. Now the latest version at the time of recording is 3.0.0-rc3.final. So we don't have a released version of this at the moment, but we can't drop down to 2.2.6 because this is not compatible with ASP.NET Core 3.0. So we're just going to have to accept the latest one that's available. If you're watching this from the future, which of course you will be, then if there's a later version for 3.0.0, please accept and install that one. But I'm just going to go for RC3 final. And let's go and add it to our persistence project, and we'll click on restore. And this should work no problem. So now we have our providers. What exactly do we do with them? Well, let's take a look. And inside our persistence project, we've got a whole bunch of different migrations for what we've been doing building this particular application. And these were using the SQLite provider. But does that mean that we can't use these migrations with our new providers? Well, not necessarily. If we go and take a look at the migrations, and we'll start with the initial create, and I'll just move my window to the left slightly. Now inside our initial creates, this was, if we think back to many years ago when we started with creating our values class and our values entity, this one we just gave a normal integer for the ID, and it's got a data annotation here for SQLite auto increment. Well, that doesn't sound like it's going to work with MySQL or SQL Server, and you would be correct, it won't. And if we take a look at the seed values, there's nothing SQLite specific inside here. And if we go and take a look at the other migrations, what we'll find is that the only one that has any provider specific information in is the first migration that we added. All of the rest have no specific provider information. They're all just creating tables normally, same for the photo entities, etc. And it's only when we're using an integer that we're going to get some specific provider data inside here. There may be other cases as well, but for our particular application, from what I can see inside here, the only one that we need to take care of is the initial create. And what we can do for circumstances like this is we can just manually edit this particular migration so it doesn't give us any problems. And we can accommodate our other two providers. So what I'm going to do is just add another annotation here, and this one I'm going to call MySQL, or not that I'm going to call it, it has to be called this, and say value generation strategy, and then add a comma and say MySQL value generation strategy, and then let's bring in Microsoft Entity Framework Core metadata, and then say identity column. And then what we can do is a very similar thing for the SQL Server as well. And let's just add a manual annotation in there. And instead of MySQL, this is going to be SQL Server. And still the same thing, value generation strategy. And I just need to change MySQL here for SQL Server value generation strategy. And what this means is we can use the same migrations when we create our database using a different provider. We don't need to worry about our migrations, they're already in place. And even though it looks bad to have 3 different options for our annotations, if the provider we're using doesn't recognize, and MySQL will not recognize what this is for, then it simply ignores it. So it's absolutely fine to have multiple annotations inside a single migration file. So that takes care of our different providers, and we've adjusted our migrations to accommodate our new providers as well. And what we'll do next is take a look at how we can actually create a database using MySQL, and how we can configure our startup class to work based on which environment we're running in, whether we're running in production or development, and we'll take a look at that next.